The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is May 14th, 2025. We are live to tape on episode 841, and today, Trump Alchemy. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And I guess I'm crazy. My name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape in the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And Basil.
Yes.
Hopefully there's no lag here. If the wicked see God roll up in wheels within wheels, they better run. He's in easy kill mode.
Heyo! I'm not going to lie. That one did go completely over my head, but I bet it was really great for maybe somebody a little smarter.
Well, easy kill being Ezekiel's vision, wheels within wheels.
Ezekiel. Okay.
Yes.
I see. I think I was a little too focused looking at the text of the joke, which made it, I missed the wordplay, the rhyming. Okay, that's a great one. You know what? We just got a text message at the Canary Cry text message alert system. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Send us a text. 541 just sent what I thought might be a pretty good dad joke. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Am I lagging extremely
I think you're lagging.
bad?
Yeah, I think so, because I have all kinds of problems with sound, and then you're not answering me. So I think you're lagging.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's me or if it's you, but I'll try to tell this joke, and then I'll take 1 second to do a little tech problem fixing here, and then we can start the show. But let's see if this works. This is a wonderful example of how lag in the internet completely kills any sort of comedy. If that's not a statement on society and our current technological dystopia, I don't know what is. Here's the joke, Gonz. What do you call a priest who becomes a lawyer?
What?
A father-in-law. Hey.
Oh, there we go.
Dude, this lag hurts.
This is
so
really bad. It's so bad.
I am going
it's
to.
So bad.
This is worse than it's ever been. I'm going to leave for a second. You entertain the people, and I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay. Oh, great. On my own. Woo!
Oops.
Well, guess what, folks? The United Healthcare stock has dropped 50% in the last month, which United Healthcare is where the CEO got shot in broad daylight about, a year ago, maybe less than a year ago. Well, the CEO stepped down, and the stock has crashed 50%, which is a lot for a big stock like that. Meanwhile, the cryptocurrency meme coin Unicorn Fart Dust is up 86% for the month. If that doesn't explain the state of the world, I don't know what does, but I'm going to jump right in. Some CERN news to start off the show today. For those of you who may be new, I've been covering CERN for a little over 10 years in the context of biblical eschatology and just the fringe things of this world. And some validation of things that I was looking at, or philosophically commenting on things like CERN and what they were doing there with the Large Hadron Collider. This is Popular Mechanics, so a fairly mainstream outlet here, with the headline, "Wait, did the Large Hadron Collider just do alchemy? Scientists at CERN turned lead into gold." Only for a fraction of a second, but still, it's part of the title. It's really interesting. And they are referencing a report from CERN themselves May 8th, 2025, from home.cern, Alice detects the conversion of lead into gold at the LHC. That's the Large Hadron Collider. Near-miss collisions between high-energy lead nuclei at the LHC generate intense electromagnetic fields that can knock out protons and transform lead into fleeting quantities of gold nuclei. So, so many things there. First of all, the electromagnetic aspects of where the next iteration of science physics are going, I think, is noteworthy. It's been part of my thesis as well that this is going to play a big role in how science or physics progresses. And this is where the reenchantment of society can also be part of it, because it brings back all the ancient types of sorcery, if you will, if you want to label it that way, or what appears to be somewhat sorcery if these energies and powers are tapped into for the wrong reasons. Hey, you're back.
I'm back. I think it was the CERN website that was crashing my computer.
Wow. Interesting.
It was just too heavy. I mean, I don't know. There was just a little bit of lag there, so we'll see how it goes. But I will no longer load the CERN website to try to explore the hidden occult secrets going on, the ancient and long-standing occult mission of humanity to turn lead into gold, whether that be literally in this case. I mean, of course, here's the thing about CERN. It's hard to monetize smashing particles together. There's just, what's the product? They're not making a product. They're just, living off of the world government charity organization.
The product is progress there, googly-eyed man, sir. The lag is so bad still. I don't think it's good.
Doesn't count. Can't sell progress. Can't sell progress guns. All right, it sounds like I'm going to have to do a total reboot. So I'm going to do a total reboot, and you get to do the show by yourself for a second.
Yay. And he's wearing a cool shirt today, too. That's a bummer. All right, I'll see you when you
It might be
come
the
back.
shirt. Maybe the shirt's the problem.
Yeah, something's not right. I don't know. The shirt shouldn't be a problem. The shirt should boost us in the process here. But okay. So so back to this whole thing, the electromagnetic fields. And Basil makes a good point. You got to keep CERN in the news to justify the funding. You got to keep pushing the bounds of stuff like this. The Large Hadron Collider and CERN being the largest, most expensive machine ever built by mankind, or at least that's what we're told. And that's why parallels to things like the Tower of Babel are fairly easy to make when they're trying to discover the God particle and whatnot. And this goes back to some scriptural references. And interestingly enough, the mention of alchemy in the context of the most advanced cutting edge science was not lost on people in this community for sure. Part of the title of Age of Deceit 2, which I released in 2014, it was Age of Deceit 2, Alchemy and the Rise of the Beast Image. So I recognized right away the philosophical pursuits of alchemy throughout the ages, especially in the Middle Ages or medieval times, where people started to tinker more with substances and elements to try to not just create gold from lead, which is part of the lore, but like with any occult or esoteric practice, there are metaphorical and ultimately spiritual layers to this. And it had to do with what they believed was, the occultists believed was some sort of ascension process. It's not difficult. Difficult's not the right word, but it is interesting to look at how the pursuits of those individuals in that time, who I documented in Age of Deceit 2, were somewhat on the premise that, hey, the Christian or Christian theological premise that we are in a sin, kind of a fallen world. And the only difference is, hey, God's got a restoration plan and he proved it through Jesus, and there's an age of harvest coming. But in the meantime, it's by faith, that we don't necessarily see our brand new immortal bodies, but that we are promised a resurrection and eternal life in that sense. Of course, as science and technology progresses, there were those who used the capabilities of the technology to try to figure it out themselves. And that's been the spirit of alchemy ever since. And I think the Bible addresses this. Colossians 2:8 is famous. The New International Version is the one who used the phrase, the elemental spiritual forces here. But I'm going to read it from the Berean Standard Bible. See to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy and empty deception, which are based on human tradition and the spiritual forces of the world rather than on Christ or elemental spirits. It's about hierarchy. And in fact, the word is order there. If you look in the Greek, it's order. So literally like the New World Order. Do not be taken by empty deceit by the New World Order rather than on Christ. So I see a lot of that here where the world is for the re-enchantment to work. Oh, did Basil leave? Uh-oh. I see him. I saw him pop up and then he jumped, ran away again. I don't know what's going on. Maybe his audio's not working.
Just ignore me. I'm figuring out. Do your thing. Just ignore me.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I want to make sure that, I don't want to ignore you when you jump back up.
You're not ignoring me. Keep ignoring me. Ignore me better.
Ignore me better. Someone clip that. Okay. So what was I saying? Yeah. Something about the whole pursuit here. Into godhood. Oh, yes. Taking it into their own hands for the occultists and whatnot throughout the centuries. And what was interesting is what they were working with back, 400 or 500 years ago. It was blood and other bodily fluids and putting it into flasks and trying to figure out how to create a homunculus or what is also known as a golem, stuff like that. But now we're at a point where we have these giant multi-decade billions of dollars poured in machines to do all the things that the alchemists over the centuries can only dream of. But the bad thing about this, while the PR is good and maybe keep the funding going for the machine and the entire facility there with the whole project of the colliders, is the fact that they couldn't actually harness this gold. The gold nuclei came into existence and then it just dissipated into whatever, the ether. And so until they figured out a way to actually grasp that gold and keep it for goods, this is just more speculative marketing type of stuff going on, or branding. I don't know. But CERN has always been a very interesting topic because of its sort of end of creation, the fringes at the tip of the spear for science, meaning that it's going to really pierce the veil between this world and in the next. And it's not just philosophical or theoretical. It's literally when these physicists start talking about how we should be able to rip a tear into space-time and look into other dimensions. These are their words documented over the last 15 years or so. So, of course, we're going to talk about it in the context of biblical prophecy and eschatology because, the robots are coming. The robots are coming. Have you seen the robots out there? I guess Basil's not here, but those of you watching, the Optimus, Elon Musk posted some new footage of the Optimus dancing, and I gotta say, the elegance is being upgraded. They don't look as clunky. They're a little smoother. There's that weird thing where it kind of still looks like CGI, computer graphic stuff, but I guess it's real. But yeah, they have made these robots much more agile, and they're dancing. And I think this actually proves our point that the robot revolution or takeover is going to happen via dance. They're just going to dance right into our homes. I think they learned a thing or two from the Roombas because they thought, hey, utility is the big selling point here with these robots, right? They're going to go in. The Roomba, it's going to vacuum your floor. It's going to keep your floor clean. You can just run it. You don't have to worry about it. It'll dock itself and all that kind of stuff. But I think people realize they're not too stoked on that. I mean, people still use it though. So, what's another way to do it? Well, just get a dancing robot that can also do dishes and fold your laundry. and clean toilets and stuff like that. But who's going to clean the robot? If the robot is down there on its knees cleaning the toilet, I don't want him folding my clothes right after, or putting away the dishes or making dinner or something. I mean, have people thought about this? Is there a sanitation process here, or maybe one robot for toilets? I mean, whatever. Okay. We usually thank our executive producers at this time. That is what goes on in this moment. But I do not have access to the list currently. So I will wait to see if Basil will come back. In the meantime, we can just keep on going here with some of the things that we were going to cover today. Maybe I can maybe I can save some stuff. All right, I might move some things around here for the sake of waiting for Basil to reboot. So let's talk real quick about the Beast system.
Speaking of the Beast system, Beast system.
Speaking of Neuralink and, of course, what Elon Musk is up to, we talked about at the end of last episode, I mentioned, I don't know if we fully brought the story, but I mentioned the story about the ALS patient who was able to create content with a Neuralink. And it's starting to pick up. The whole industry is starting to pick up some steam here. This is the Wall Street Journal, and the headline from May 13th, Apple to support brain implant control of its devices. I mean, of course. Is anybody surprised by this? It says here, Apple is embracing the world of brain-computer interfaces, unveiling a new technology that one day could revolutionize how humans interact with their devices. It's time. It's time to get the masses to start thinking about this and talking about this. The way they're wording it, it's meant for the masses. This is the outreach portion, the lukewarm brain-computer interface talk to get everybody excited. The company is taking early steps to enable people to control their iPhones with neural signals captured by a new generation of brain implants. It can make Apple devices more accessible to tens of thousands of people who can't use their hands because of severe spinal cord injuries or diseases such as ALS. So there you go. I think that it looks like ALS was the catalyst for a company like Apple announcing their move into this area. Apple is looking forward to a day, still some years away, when implants developed by Elon Musk's Neuralink and its rivals receive approval from the Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Drugs. Interesting. I guess it falls under drugs here. Such implants, known as brain-computer interfaces, have already been safely placed in a handful of patients. And it goes on here. And of course, people will reference the mark of the beast. We're here. I did want to mention Synchron. This is the company that Apple is presumably partnering with. Apple has worked on the new standard with Synchron. And I guess this is the called it moment because maybe we didn't say Apple, but we did say that Synchron, we have been tracking Synchron, let's just say, because while everyone is talking about Neuralink, we noticed that Synchron was actually getting approval for certain tests on humans. I think it was even prior to Neuralink getting some of their approval. Of course, Neuralink gets more of the public buzz. So Synchron has been at this for a while, and now it makes sense. Now it makes sense that they would get approval from places like the FDA before Neuralink, because maybe Apple was, helping that whole thing along, with this whole situation. So with Synchron, they have a what do they call it here? A stent-like device that is implanted in a vein atop the brain's motor cortex. Oy. What if they miss? What if they miss the vein? Do they just keep going back? I don't know. Anything where we gotta inject stuff into the. I get it, with the health thing and people in the hospital, you do that, but I don't know. Okay, so it says here the Synchron device effectively translates brainwaves, allowing a user to navigate around a screen and select an icon. It works with a feature inside Apple's operating system called Switch Control, which literally switches control to a new input device like a joystick, or in this case, a brain implant. No. If you're a conspiracy theorist and you've been saying like, "Hey, Apple, it's a bitten fruit. It's the whole logo. It's a fruit that bites. It's gonna have to do maybe with something that's gonna be a little more invasive than just a few taps of the fingertips." But here we got
The fruit
clear
that
indications.
bites.
The fruit that bites. Hey, you're back. There you go.
The fruit that bites back.
Are you
Apple.
less laggy?
I think so. It
Yeah,
looks
you
like
are.
there was some weather events in the past few days, and Starlink was telling me that I am unaligned. I had become unaligned with the powers above, which I think is a pretty good metaphor for all of us in life, especially as believers. There are times in life when a storm comes through and blows us hither and yon, and we become unaligned with the powers above. And all we got to do is stop, look at our dashboard, and go, my goodness gracious, I have become unaligned, and now we are aligned, and all is right in the world. So there you go.
Great.
There's your sermon illustration for the day, everybody.
All right, I'm going to wrap this story by mentioning that Synchron has implanted this device to 10 people since 2019. Morgan Stanley has estimated that 150,000 people in the U.S. who suffer from critical upper limb impairments could be early candidates for brain-computer interface devices. It anticipates that the first commercial approval for such a device will come in 2030. Yay! That's what they've been waiting for, the 2030 deadline. Oxley said he believes Synchron will receive approval before then. So here we go. Once we get into the 2030s, all bets are off. Humanity is going to fork. Half the people are going to have brain chips. Half the people are not. And, hey, the Art-elect war is upon us.
Yes, indeed. It's an exciting time, and it's happening faster than anybody expected. But that's kind of where we're at. We've all been, it feels like maybe between I'll say between 2012 when we started podcasting and about 2020, that was the roller coaster, kind of like chunk, 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 making it to the top.
Going up. Yeah, going
up
up
the
to
first
the thing.
drop. And then, 2020 to about 2023, that was the, first big drop that changed the world entirely. And now we're kind of going through some sort of corkscrew, and we're going faster and faster. Sorry, I just went to a theme park for Mother's Day over the weekend. So I got roller coasters on the brain.
I was going to say, everything's a roller coaster metaphor. Huh? You're just
if
going
you're-
through that thing, reflecting on life.
If you're looking for any more sermon illustrations, don't get me started on churros and funnel cake. Okay, here we go. All right, so you good?
I'm good. Yeah, I moved a story up, so it'll clear the path for Trump in the midsection. But I think we're ready to thank some executive producers.
I think we are as well. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Executive producers.
You know what, folks? We are on the value for value model, which means we don't take any money from corporations, commies, cartels, governments, non-government organizations, or even the Vatican. That's right. We are strictly funded by people who get value from the show. And hopefully that's you. If you've gotten any value out of this show in the last 10 minutes, perhaps the roller coaster metaphor or the unaligned Starlink sermon illustration has opened up your mind and your heart to some sort of wisdom coming down from above. I hope the Holy Spirit has filled the room and topped your head with a tongue of fire. And if that's the case, we always encourage people to really understand what the value for value model is about. It's not just about, making a donation or something like that. It is an opportunity for all of us to rethink the way that we have been taught how media should work in this principality and power-laden fallen world where media is primarily funded by the sale of your consciousness, your attention. And of course, everybody thinks that they are immune to marketing and advertisements, but as the studies show, that those are the people who are sort of shackled by it the most. I'm sorry to say, it's just how it works. But here, we don't let any corporate incentives get in the way. We do not package up as much of your time and attention as possible and sell it off for our own personal gain. Instead, all of us together, and that includes Gons and I, are working with the understanding that if we want something to exist in the world, if something exists that brings us value, we think this is a biblical concept here, must take the responsibility ourselves to do whatever little part we can to make sure it keeps creating value or stays in the world. Otherwise, we can't complain when it goes away. So it's very simple. If you get any value from this show or the community or anything like that, perhaps, yes, even the dad jokes, you're invited to become a producer of the show, because that's what you are. And you can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. There's lots of ways to do it. You can help us out with back-end processes, administrative Google Sheets, things like this, if that's your thing. Whatever your time and skills allow, you can also create art, create music, create jingles. Everything you hear on the show pretty much is created by very talented producers just like you. But if all else fails and time and talent aren't your thing, you certainly can produce the show with your treasure. And in order to do that, all you got to do is go to canarycry.support. And we're going to thank the executive producers here. Of course, big ol' thank you to all of our sustaining monthly producers. Those are people who have gotten value, plan to continue to get value, and make it a part of their, their relationship with money, and relationship with the Lord's provision, to include us in sort of their monthly considerations, and we appreciate that very much. Now remember, when it comes to producing the show, you are the one who is choosing the number. You are the one. You think to yourself, maybe say a little prayer and let the Holy Spirit speak to you about that. There's no fixed amount. There's nothing like that. It's just whatever the show means to your life. Now, the executive producers, they're the people who come in with $100 or more for any individual episode, and so we thank them here at the top. Are you ready, Gons?
Ready.
Okay. Well, it's a little bit of a light day today. It's the midweek, mid-month, mid is what the kids would call it.
Malaise.
And we do have an executive producer, of course. We have a very faithful executive producer, and his name is Cyril X Protocol, V2 Baron of the Berean Protocol.
Where'd you find this?
Bankroll out the bankroll, I spend.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
It comes in with $100 and 33 cents.
That is Illuminatus.
And he is on a 391 episode streak altogether and a 45 episode executive producer streak. Holy smokes. Yeehaw. Now we had another executive producer come in. That is executive producer Rebecca V.
Where'd you
Rebecca
find
V.
this?
Bankroll out the bankroll, I spend.
Thank you, Rebecca
And
B.
Rebecca V comes in with $111.
1111.
111.
Thank you.
111. Thank you. And Rebecca sent a note here. Says, thank you guys for everything you do. I've been on vacation in San Diego for a couple weeks, so I'm catching up on all the episodes I missed. It's helping get through. Oh, I see. All the episodes I missed. It's helping me get through my work week. Well, God bless you, Rebecca. We're so happy to help you out with that.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Love to be helping people through whatever they're
Hey,
doing.
what are we good for if not helping you pass the time during the day in hopefully some sort of profitable way?
Yeah.
Now, that is it as of now for our executive producers for today's show. Thank you very much. We got some more producers we're going to thank later on in the show. So there's still time. It is a light day in general, folks. So if you've been wondering when the right time to come in, produce the show is, this would be a great day to be a hero. And you can do that at canarycry.support, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give a big old shout out to everybody who joined the Canary Cry text message alert system. Now, of course, you know this. Text the word Canary, just the word Canary, to 877-740-3226. I'll say it again. Just text the word Canary to 877-740-3226, and you'll get on our alert system. We don't take your name. We don't take any information, so keep that in mind. And we will send you a text message just before we go live throughout the week. But people love it the most because you can text us back at that number. I read them all. I love them all. And sometimes we'll read some on the air. Now, keep in mind, if you have a very urgent message that you absolutely want to make sure gets read, the text message alert system is not the way to do that necessarily. But I do enjoy very much. I wanted to give, I'll say this. We had let's see here. Hit the producers real quick. We had some producers.
Producers, assemble!
Okay, producing. That is a great way to produce the show spiritually. Spiritual producership, very important. So first of all, shout out to 313, who says, I'm recovering from a massive seizure. I'm so thankful to have Canary Cry to chill and listen to. Thanks, you rock. Well, thank you very much, 313. Yes, and God bless you. Recovering from a seizure is one thing, but a massive seizure is an entirely different thing. So God bless you. Get your rest. And everybody out there, take a little second and say a little prayer for 313 that the recovery goes well, strength comes back, and comfort for yourself and provision for your family, because that can be an extremely disruptive thing to happen.
Yep.
Now, 406 says, it's my hubby's birthday. Will you please say happy birthday to Seth? Also,
Seth.
Great interview with Mary Toko. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Happy birthday, Seth.
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Seth. And yes, thank you very much. So yes, many of you will know, if you listen to the podcast version or follow us on Rumble, that we recently, last Friday, had an interview episode of Canary Cry Radio come out on Rumble and the podcast version. Too hot for YouTube. So sorry if you are relying on YouTube for all of your most important media. You're going to miss out a little bit, but this is us letting you know. Go to the Canary Cry News Talk Rumble channel, and we posted it there. It is the only place that it would have survived. Even today, it would not survive here on YouTube. So go check that out.
Which is crazy. It's 2025. Come on.
I know. And of course, it's very selective who they target with these sort of things. But we have learned now 3 or 4 times, well, much more than that, 3 or 4 bands equals about 15 or 16 sort of temporary suspensions. But we certainly have a target on our back, so we could not risk it on that. But go check out the Rumble, or even better, check out the podcast feed on your favorite podcast player. Just search for Canary Cry Radio. Since we got the producers out, we had 847 text and says, at the hospital with my dad, prayers of healing and restoration are appreciated. Dad suffered a stroke. Okay. I don't know if this is a different stroke or the same person. I'm not sure. Two different area codes. So, that's something. So, yes.
Strokes going around. That's
more prayers for 847, whose father had a stroke and is in the hospital. My goodness, what is going on around here?
Yeah. A lot of that.
Yeah.
We'll be praying for you guys.
Okay, let's see here. I'll pick one more here. We got Steve Z. Steve Z texts and says, heckin' yeah, sorry for the lack of text the past few weeks. I know you both missed them. Love you guys. Also loved Gon's rant last episode. Yes, I hear you had a very popular rant last episode, Gons.
Apparently.
And by unpopular opinion, I love the crypto talk. I'm late to the game, but I finally have invested a little into BTC, and I'd love to hear more of your guys' takes. Sounds like Most people are sick of it, though. Haha, praise God. Also, Basil, don't worry. I love your rants as well, but it's just been a while since I've heard Gonz's rant, Steve Z. Thank you very much, Steve Z.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate
So there you
it.
go, folks. I might read some more text later on in the show, but text the word Canary to 877-740-3226.
All right.
Okay, should we get back to the news? Oh, I will say just real quick, go to canarycrymeetups.com, canarycrymeetups.com. I think we forgot to mention the meetups for a couple episodes here. But there is a meetup in Houston, Texas on May 24th coming up. So if you are within striking distance of Houston, Texas, May 24th at Battle Axe Throwing in Houston.
Awesome.
You can contact David GNO33 at protonmail.com. You can find all that info in the contact at canarycrymeetups.com. This is a very important thing to do. I've heard it from plenty of Canarians, especially this week. Oh man, I'd love to go to a meetup. I wish there was a meetup in my area. Put one on. You put one on in your area. This is you guys. We do not schedule these. So go check it out. It'll be a blast.
Yes,
all right.
sir. You ready to go?
Is it time for news? I think it's time for news.
Time for some Trump.
We will launch a new age. I am innocent. Innocent. They're coming after me. They love killing.
What is going on?
Is that you?
That's me.
Okay.
No, that's me. Something's going on with the jingle board.
It doesn't like the Trump voice.
Bye-bye.
The AI has decided
jingle
that the
board is
Trump
going
voice
bye-bye.
is no longer allowed.
Yeah.
All
like
right.
that.
Well, we had a big hullabaloo. It seemed like some sort of global festival going on in regards to Trump's trip to the Middle East, including Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and specifically what really was notable was the pomp and circumstance of the Saudi Arabia trip. Now, of course, Saudi Arabia, the United States, we have had a long-standing relationship going on, 80 years or something. We have played a big part in making the Saudi royal family unimaginably wealthy. And of course, we more or less lease out our military to Saudi Arabia for protection because, look, the Middle East can be kind of a sketchy place. However, if you remember in recent years, Mr. Bonesaw, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, has gotten a lot of attention lately, becoming the strong man of Saudi Arabia. This came after he, who was a prince, and a few years ago invited his whole family, including other princes, uncles, rest of the royal family, and others, to a big party at a hotel, locked the doors of the hotel, and arrested all of them, and ascended to the throne. I mean, you got to give it to the guy. He's creative, if nothing else, and has been in charge since then. Mixed criticisms with MBS. Of course, he earned the name Mr. Bonesaw for his penchant for, taking some pretty, I'll say, assertive tactics with those who dare to cross him, which, if you'll remember, included a Washington Post reporter, Khashoggi, happened a few years ago. And on the other hand, he's gotten a lot of credit for his very progressive policies, like letting women drive and other things like that. And who could forget? I mean, of course, it's a mainstay of Trump's personality that he just loves strongmen. He's so in love with strongmen. He's just, goodness gracious, dictator party over here, blah, blah, blah. And so Trump did make a little visit, of course, after his announcement about the pharmaceutical price executive order earlier this week.
Yep.
And boy, oh boy, did they really put on a show over there. Now, remember, just for some background, in case somebody needs a little refresher, when it comes to the Middle East, U.S., most famously aligned, backed, perhaps even owned by, or the owners of, Israel as sort of the West's footprint in the Middle East. Now, the U.S. has maintained relationships, of course, for purposes of oil exportation with Saudi Arabia and some other places in the Middle East. But just this week, the past 7 days or so, there's been some hullabaloo about Trump going around Netanyahu's back, specifically when it comes to foreign relations with other Middle Eastern countries. And so Trump making this visit in general without the, I don't know, participation, the planning, the who knows, permission by Netanyahu is already its own sort of upsetting thing for some neoconservative, neoliberal, warmongering, New World Order types, globalist types. But not only that, but boy, oh boy, did they literally roll out the purple carpet for Trump. One thing that is notable and is getting a lot of attention is just how unusually warm, friendly, honorable, respectful, and
What?
perhaps even
The Saudis are I've been told they're savages for years.
well, it's funny.
They're just
you
cannibals.
We'll take a few looks at some of the clips here from Trump's visit, and some people, we didn't bring them, we're comparing them to the footage from when Biden showed up, and they are two different experiences. I'll tell you what, Biden did not get the, the parade and sort of royal treatment in the way. He did get a fist bump from Mohammed bin Salman, which was notable. But there's Trump. He's coming down the purple stairs. Now, of course, those who know their sort of biblical history, the color purple, very important, very royal, reserved for only the most important people. And in this case, quite the symbol for Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia, to lay out a very long, perhaps even miles long, royal purple carpet for Trump to arrive in Saudi Arabia. The other big notable moment here was MBS coming out to greet Trump at the bottom of the stairs himself. Now, you can see other videos, you can watch other breakdowns with these Middle Eastern leaders. I mean, unlike America, the royalty, respect, protocol, I'd say even a bit unlike UK royalty, Middle Eastern royalty is still taken extraordinarily seriously. You're not allowed to touch them. You know, depending who you are, you can't even look them in the eye. And you come to them. You come to them, and you don't sit until they sit, and you don't do anything until they do anything. And so the fact that MBS even shows up to the plane and shakes Trump's hand right off the plane is a pretty big deal. Now, more than that, you'll see in this next clip here, the motorcade. If somebody was to come visit the U.S., they get a motorcade, they get flashing lights. Here's the Saudi Arabian motorcade, which is a limousine that bears both the American flag and the Saudi Arabian flag, surrounded by majestic white horses. A motorcade of horses. There's got to be maybe 20 of them there, escorting the limousine. And again, notable, because this would be something somebody would criticize and comment in America, but even more so in Saudi Arabia. These horsemen dressed all in white and white horses are bearing both the American flag and the Saudi Arabian flags, holding up flagpoles as they ride with the flags waving, and lots of pomp and circumstance, ceremony, and stuff. So it's quite obvious that Saudi Arabia wanted to make a pretty good impression. And I'll say, at least as far as the internet is concerned, the people are quite impressed. Now, it wouldn't be the internet without some conspiracy theories here. And in this next clip, after a long procession, the Mohammed bin Salman and Trump sit down in some golden thrones here. You'll see them side by side. Then some ceremonial Arabian coffee gets brought to them. You'll see that MBS immediately takes the coffee, drinks the coffee, and Trump notably holding the coffee, not touching the coffee. not barely even looking at the coffee.
Is there anything even in there? It looks like there's nothing even in there.
It's a little espresso cup. It's
Yeah.
a small. It's more of a ceremonial thing. And so, in fact, Trump is eventually, after a long time of not drinking the coffee and holding it, sets it down on the table between them. And people are slowing it down. Enhance. What's happening here? What's the symbolism? Does he think MBS is going to poison him? Never drink something you don't know where it came from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of hullabaloo here, and a beautiful example of how even the alternative media on the internet, we need to dissect it with just as much attention as anything else. Because as you'll see in this next clip, I am here. This is almost a debunker bunker. Let's debunk it. What is this? Later on, from a different angle, 4-second clip. Trump is drinking the coffee. He's fine. He just didn't want. He just didn't want the coffee.
You can't. He was trying to poison. Our president. What?
Maybe he's wearing that. I don't know if you've heard of this, Gons, but of course, one very, innovative product that party people out there nowadays are using is a nail polish. You wear this nail polish and you can dip your nail polish in a drink and it'll tell you if anything is in there it's not supposed to be in there. So maybe he was just waiting for his color changing drug detecting nail polish.
I need the footage of him sticking his finger into the cup first. That would be hilarious if he did. Or maybe he did it sneakily. All right, good job.
Get to the bunker!
The debunker bunker.
Debunked.
So do not worry. He drank the coffee.
Great.
Now, of course, there's throughout the footage, and we'll get to some of the more important bits of the speech here in a moment, but what we see developing, as often develops with Donald Trump and various world leaders, is what the internet likes to call a bromance, okay? A bromance. Very nice, a beautiful relationship, very masculine, very friendly. Here's a clip of Trump and Mohammed bin Salman. Now, remember... I forgot the music was on this one. We can play.
Is it YMCA? Is that YMCA?
It is YMCA.
Wow. Okay.
In this whole event that we'll get into in a second, including Trump's arrival, the Saudi Arabian, pomp and circumstance included a live band playing the national anthem, flying American flags. They played "I'm Proud to Be an American" in this, in this giant sea of guys, wearing the fancy robes and the red headscarves.
This is like when Governor Newsom cleaned up the streets of San Francisco and doused it with Xi Jinping Chinese flags everywhere.
Yeah, basically.
For the procession of Xi Jinping when he showed up.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's saying something. When the crown prince of Saudi Arabia is treating Trump the same way Gavin Newsom welcomed Xi Jinping, that is saying something.
Where do you get that kind of analysis?
So in this clip here, you can see they're very friendly. Mohammed bin Salman constantly holding his heart. And look, it's hard to say. Can you scroll up a little bit? The one that's playing on the screen kind of cuts them off. I don't know if that's part of the video.
It's just an elongated video, hard to do on a
so
thing.
There's lots of touching. This is an interesting bit. Trump is putting his hand on his shoulder, on his arm. Mohammed bin Salman is obvious. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. You kind of got to see it. Sorry, podcast listeners, but he seems to be absolutely smitten by Trump. You see Mohammed bin Salman in any other situation, he is like the classic stereotypical stoic kind of scary looking Saudi Arabian
Prince,
chic type of thing, does not smile, doesn't look anybody in the eye, nobody touches him, nobody can even talk to him.
He's like grinning. I mean, this is legitimate smiles too. It's not like he's faking it for the camera. He's really having a good time out there.
Yeah, right. So there's this sort of growing bromance. We'll see a little bit more of that later. But part of
Let's
this
invite some
included
dudes over and fellowship tonight.
That's some
part of
clips,
this
sound
included
effects from that meeting. Go ahead.
lots of gifts, and of course, nobody can get gifts. Gifts are evil. Gifts are corruption. Gifts, not good. But it wasn't a plane. But one notable video here shows Trump being escorted again on the purple carpet past a screen, and this screen is playing a video that has some Arabian leopards on it. And what this video is portraying is one of the gifts of the royal family to America. Now, this isn't a gift directly to Trump. This is a gift to America, of course, as a show of respect for the relationship between the countries. And it is a gift of Arabian leopards, which is interesting. You know, it's not a Boeing 747. It's not gold bars. It's Arabian leopards, which apparently are very important leopards. And this is one of those. Remember, Trump being a core operator, a natural in the economy of magical objects. Okay, of course, a 747 is a little different than like a dagger or a menorah or a trophy of some kind. If you're new to this concept, I apologize. I can't go through the whole thing. But Trump, more than U.S. dollars, more than assets, more than money, maintains his really sort of elite relationships through the transaction of magical objects. And in this case, I don't know if they're magical leopards or not, but they are also very meaningful in Arabia. These are Arabian leopards, of course, symbolizing strength and importance and that kind of stuff. One of those things. But this kind of rang a little bell. Did you want to hit that Smithsonian just to see what they have to say about it?
Right. So these Arabian leopards, this is in reference to what the Smithsonian reported on the 13th, which is yesterday from when we're recording. And the headline directly from the si.edu website, that's the Smithsonian Institute. The headline is Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute to welcome critically endangered Arabian leopards in a major conservation cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia's Royal Commission for A1U1A. So this is what it's referencing, right?
Yes.
This is not a direct thing to Trump. This
Not
is
to
more
Trump.
of a symbolic, well, it's not symbolic. It's probably literal in terms of the actual leopards going over
Right.
there to the institute,
But very,
the
very
Smithsonian
rare.
Institute.
Extraordinarily
Rare,
rare.
yes.
There's only 120 of them, less than 120 of
Yeah.
them on Earth. So to gift a couple of these in honor of Trump's visit, is an extremely meaningful thing. I think Trump has this. I know that Trump has this reputation for receiving, giving, again, operating this economy of magical, very rare gifts that you could not put a price on, that have no monetary value. And not to say no monetary value, but to say that no monetary value could match these gifts. And so,
Right.
the fact that the crown prince is coming in with their prized national icon, only 100 in existence animals,
Entrusting it to the West as a gesture of maybe cooperation, maybe
a lot of things,
a lot of things,
partnership,
a lot of partnership.
dedication
Well,
to one another.
yeah, Psalm 40 in the chat here, he's on top of it. He says part of Daniel's beast was leopard, right?
Uh-huh.
And yes, that was what I was going to point out. Back in Daniel 7 in the Old Testament there, in Daniel's vision of the four beasts that eventually form the Megazoid fourth beast. The first one was like a lion, the second one like a bear, and the third one was like a leopard. And what's interesting is we just had the new Pope call himself Pope Leo, which
Yep.
is lion. And now we have the Trump.
Notoriously aligned in many ways with Trump, has a lot
Right.
in common with
The
Trump.
lion symbolism of Trump. Yeah, the
Right.
whole thing there. And then you have now the Saudi Arabian prince handing over a leopard to the West. Maybe this has something to do with the beast that appeared as a leopard. Now, this leopard in Daniel has 4 wings like a bird on his back.
Well, who knows? I've never seen an Arabian leopard up close.
Maybe, we'll see what happens if the Smithsonian discovers that they had the ancient leopard of this descent had wings, and we shall resurrect those wings or winged leopards or something.
Or there was also the airplane gifted from Qatar.
Right. It flies. Oh, there, boom, there it is. Maybe that's what it is.
Couple of wings right there.
Couple of wings. Okay, so all right, we can connect the dots and we'll see that. Now, this beast, as in its megazoid form, appears in Revelation 13, where again in verse 2 it says, "The beast I saw, this is the beast out of the sea. The beast I saw was like a leopard, with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave this beast his power and his throne and great authority." So, just one of those interesting tidbits where if it wasn't on purpose by some brilliant, I don't know, social engineer, lizard person in the background,
Destiny
it's certainly
scripting think tank or something.
Yes, then it's probably the spiritual forces, and then ultimately under the sovereignty of God that this type of stuff goes on.
Yeah,
and
reflection
the patterns
of
repeat.
Yeah, reflection of the spiritual realm. So all we're really missing is the bear. Of course,
The
when
bear,
people
which
think of
Russia,
bear,
think of Russia,
they'll automatically think of Russia. That's quite possible.
That's the
but it'll be
traditional kind of view. Although it's not
interesting to
super solid.
keep a lookout. Because we'll sort of kind of tongue in cheek, but who knows? Comment on the suspicion some people have, or the theory that Trump could be the Antichrist, or some sort of Antichrist. I would say more specifically, people who are maybe being a little bit more close to the letter of Scripture here consider Trump, what is it, the second beast or the first beast? I forget. One of the beasts.
The beast as a total is, the beast that rides the woman and then turns on her is just called the beast. So while there are components within the beast, first beast, second beast, it's still just, the beast. So, and they get thrown into the lake of fire in the end. So it doesn't turn out too good for them.
It's gotta keep a lookout for a big hot tub or something. Okay, let's keep moving. Now, this is just going to start out with a fun little comment here. Now, again, and I think this is interesting. We talk about this sort of economy of magical objects. This is how the elite truly transact value, gifts and things like this, artifacts. But Trump, another one of Trump's sort of next level sort of magicianry as far as gifts go, are his compliments, are his words. People take Trump's words very seriously, sometimes too seriously. And we know he has a penchant for, both breaking somebody down and then a year later, coming out and saying he's the best guy in the world, calling Xi Jinping a beautiful, strong man, and then, turn around. Yeah, this type of thing.
Is this the Art of War Golden Bridge?
It's just part of his
kind
weapon.
Of a little bit.
It's something. Yeah, right. There's something like that. So, just to kind of round out this bromance and just how intense this whole event was, here's just a short little clip when, Trump kind of comparing America or himself. Very, very rarely will the position of best be not him,
be uttered,
or be
uttered
not
as something
American.
Apart.
Yeah, right. So this was a very interesting display here, just a short one.
We are rocking. The United States is the hottest country, with the exception of your country, I have to say, right? I'm not going to take that on. No, Mohammed, I'm not going to take that on. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing if I made that full statement? But I will not do it. You're hotter. At least as long as I'm up here, you're hotter.
There it is. There it is. Save
Some
the receipt.
conditions. I
Yeah.
like how he just keeps adding a couple conditions to it.
You know, it really is a communication like, hey, I love you. You're great. You're great. You're great. Thanks for the leopard. It's wonderful. You're hot. You're hot. As long as I'm up here and doing the talking, you're hot. You know, let's keep it that way type of thing. All right. Here's a couple minutes of his sort of main speech, which
Yeah.
really, again, you got to keep in mind where he is and the troubles going on with with Israel, the heating up with Iran, Pakistan, India, the position that Trump is put in, this current, at least, display of friction with Netanyahu, the rumors floating around that he's going to recognize Palestine, you know, all this kind of stuff. Let's start with this. We can stop it here and there if we have something to say. It's just a couple minutes.
Transformations have been unbelievably remarkable. Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that.
Okay. Pause that right there a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe that was a direct little jab at Netanyahu. Is that
Seems like a little bit of a jab at Israel and Gaza, you know, not bombing each other out of existence. Now, you know, if you take the bombing each other out of existence in maybe the most literal sense, I mean, Israel-Gaza is the literal interpretation of that. I mean, Israel has, in Bibi at least, has, you know, said, hey, we're just going to bomb Gaza out of existence. They're done.
I mean,
we're not going to stop.
Yesterday, he's talked about using full force and we're not backing down and all that rhetoric. So, yeah, it could be literally directly a reference.
Yeah, actually, great point. We forgot to bring this link, but just know, as this is happening, almost as Trump is giving this speech, Bibi makes the announcement, we don't need you, America. We're not waiting for you, America. We are pulling out all the stops, full invasion into Gaza to completely eliminate Hamas in the couple days.
This is yesterday. Fox News with the headline, Netanyahu pledges full force to complete fight against Hamas in coming days.
Yeah.
U.S. envoy traveling to Qatar for talks on possible ceasefire in Gaza. So, yeah.
Yep.
Strong words once again.
Strong words from both sides here.
Both sides,
Let's go back to the clip.
Where's Trump? Where is he? I lost him.
Where's Trump?
I'm stuck in the Leopard.
Where
the Leopard porters.
Again, pure
And
love.
it's crucial for the...
What's that?
Pure love on Mohammed bin Salman's face. They show him every once in a while. Again, he's smiling. He's holding his heart. He's like really, really laying
He's got
it
his
on thick.
hands. He's got his hands raised in front of his face to clap. I mean, he's really. And behind him is Elon. Elon was doing some weird claps back there. Did you notice he was doing some little dinky claps?
I was not paying attention.
Yeah, it's pretty.
But he's been.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly.
Wow.
The transfer.
An absolute attack on the entire liberal world order. Starting from post-World War II, he's basically referring to, almost 100 years of constant involvement in the neoliberal world order, coming from the West, first in Europe, then, of course, from the neocons, or not even just from the neocons, just from America in general, American foreign policy.
Yeah.
And you'll notice he is talking to Saudi Arabia, but the language is broader. He seems to be talking about the entire sort of
The
area,
entire apparatus.
the population, right? The entire
the
system.
The economic hitmen, all of it. The
whole
everything.
thing,
The
the
UN,
wars,
the
the nation
system.
building, the meddling, the involvements, he's even kind of going after the intelligence agencies a little bit there. This was a brutal condemnation from Trump of the entire world order of the last 100 years. And it's really, this is one of those moments that the sort of, golden age rhetoric felt or seemed a little bit more real,
It's
to
more
be saying
tangible.
this, more tangible. Right. Thank you. And, there's also an aspect of sort of, as the sitting president, taking sort of accountability for the behavior of the West of the last, 80 to 100 years, while simultaneously condemning the actions. And also this thing about like, hey, you guys figured it out. You don't need us. There's a little bit of an immigration vibe to this too. That's like, hey, you don't need to come to America. You guys got this on your own, okay? You got a good thing going on here. You just keep doing what you're doing over here. You don't even want to come to the West. You don't need us. Just keep doing what you're doing here.
Build what you guys are building over here.
You
guys have
are
done a good
great.
job. You don't need us.
Yeah, you didn't listen to us. You didn't westernize. You kept your whole thing. So, why don't you stay there and keep doing it?
That is actually a very smart tactic in terms of deal making and tariffs and all, in the context of tariffs and all this kind of stuff, to lift them up. Don't try to control every aspect of the deal, but lift them up. And so you're sort of dealing with equals instead of dealing with someone that's lesser or, an enemy or something.
It's a great way to make your counterpart in making a deal, think that that it's their, that it's their idea.
Right.
You want it to
exactly
make it seem like their idea. You want them to think that, it's they're kind of under control in their situation. And as long as you play your cards right, everybody gets what they want. And even though, maybe you get something that they wouldn't have given you otherwise, they still feel good about it.
Yeah. So where's the money? Where's this golden age money? That's what I want to know. Where is this cash coming from?
Yeah, well, included in this was, of course, we had to get some actual money out of it.
Let's go.
This isn't just... So this is the White House fact sheet. I'm going to try to load this on my side and see if my internet is aligned. I am aligned. Look at this. From the whitehouse.gov, fact sheet, President Donald J. Trump secures historic $600 billion investment commitment in Saudi Arabia, strengthening strategic partnerships for economic prosperity. Today in Saudi Arabia, President Donald J. Trump announced Saudi Arabia's $600 billion commitment to invest in the United States, building economic ties that will endure for generations to come. The first deals under the announcement strengthen our energy security, defense industry, technology leadership, and access to global infrastructure and critical minerals. So getting in here with these economic ties, it's very important for a lot of reasons, but also sort of binds the two economies together. Now, it's hard to imagine, the American economy being bound any tighter with any other Middle Eastern country than Saudi Arabia, with the exception of Israel. And what the vibe that I'm kind of getting from this entire thing, paired with the timing of friction with Bibi Netanyahu, the signal is kind of going out like, hey, Israel, if we aren't going to work together on this, if you're going to push us around, if I'm going to feel bullied, there's other really rich countries that would love to have this relationship with us, is, kind of part of the deal here. I mean, I don't remember the last time Israel invested $600 billion in America. I don't know. Maybe it happens. I just don't know about it. So I'll just give you a little bit of a list of some of the money coming in. It says the following represent just a few of the many transformative deals secured in Saudi Arabia. We have Saudi Arabian Data Vault is moving forward with plans to invest $20 billion in AI data centers. Google Data Vault, Oracle, Salesforce, AMD, and Uber are committing to invest $80 billion in transformative technologies in both countries. And this is kind of where the economic ties part comes in. A lot of this money is, being transferred to the U.S. through U.S. corporations to operate in Saudi Arabia, which is what the liberal world order wants. They just like to do it in different ways.
Right. That's kind of what I was going to
bankrupting
mention.
countries and wars and things like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was going to say was a lot of the end goals, or at least, I don't know, the outcomes are similar in a way, or at least it's the stated outcomes, because with the liberal world order, they weren't able to, actually fulfill those stated outcomes that it was sold something and then, they didn't actually pull it off. But in this case, yeah, it feels like a very similar thing to what we've always done. It's just done more in the open and it's more transparent. And, I think this is the era of the transparent transaction. So it makes sense.
So-called, at least. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so-called.
I mean, the whole economic hitman thing, what we used to do is, try to lend to a country, basically lend them with terms that will bankrupt them and sort of enslave them to the United States to let corporations come in and work in their country. And if that didn't work, then we went to war. Then we went to nation building and bringing democracy. It was all based on this exact premise. Whereas with Trump, he just does it with a parade instead of a war.
Parade and just some real nice words,
Yeah.
Just making him feel real good.
Now, this does leave out one industry who is primarily responsible and benefits the most from the neoliberal world order, and that's the military-industrial complex. Well, we don't, that's why you start wars. That's why you do invasions. That's why this and this and that. But if you can give them the money without killing anybody, as Trump has often decided he wants to do, or stated he wants to do, it includes here $142 billion for basically the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, defense and security partnership. So, yeah, a good chunk of this is defense, military, for technologies,
Now, obviously, Saudi Arabia is an Arabian country at conflict, at eternal conflict with Israel. So it is a sort of real shift in posture because, we've always had relationships with Saudi Arabia. They rent our military. They give us oil, our corporations, blah, 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 blah. But very rarely is there a parade and make-out session before
a noodling session.
Before a deal like this is made. And so, again, it cannot be overstated the sort of threatening nature of this whole thing to the Israeli-American relationship, whether it's practical or just sort of emotional. Who knows?
It does seem a little bit of both.
But the timing cannot be denied because I don't know if you noticed it. I'm sure you've noticed it. Recently online in the past few weeks, the increase of Trump is controlled by Israel coming from the anti-Semitism laws, jailing people for
Right.
anti-Semitism, kicking students out for anti-Semitism, this kind of stuff. That really fired up a lot of the right, especially. Say like, hey, now what's going on here, Trump and Israel? This is kind of weird, man. I don't know. It's all wrapped up in freedom of speech and stuff like
Right.
this.
Yes,
Even the
yes.
sort of most diehard Trump supporters are kind of like, okay, all right, can you back off the Israel kind of thing? I don't know so much about this. So, the past 5 days, both with this visit and with the Bibi friction, really sends quite the message.
Yeah, and I think maybe the strategic aspects, the geopolitical strategic aspects of this, I'm still looking at it in the context of U.S. versus China in a practical sense, because I think Taiwan and the microchips, that's all coming to a head eventually. 2027 is the timeline, so it's during Trump's time in office here where Xi Jinping was planning to do some kind of movement into Taiwan.
Right.
So I think making these deals elsewhere strengthens the alliance of the technology being shared and the economic side of things being shared and open. And another example of that, this is from Finance Yahoo, mirroring tip ranks. And the headline is Trump weighs deal allowing UAE to buy NVIDIA chips, Bloomberg reports. I don't know, I'll play a few seconds of this clip just to get an idea of the situation. Oh, media could not be loaded. Great. All right, well, let's see. Trump administration is weighing a deal that would allow the United Arab Emirates to import more than 1 million advanced NVIDIA chips. Mackenzie Hawkins, Jenny Leonard, and Ben Bartenstein of Bloomberg report, citing people familiar with the matter. The deal, which is being negotiated, would let the UAE import 500,000 of the most advanced chips on the market each year from now to 2027, sources told Bloomberg. I think everybody kind of knows China's going to make its move in 2027, and they're kind of positioning, they're doing their things to kind of say, okay, well, let's see how it goes. 2027, we'll revisit how everything's going and see where we're at then.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah,
it's kind of a back end. So, and this is part of the thing. It's sort of hidden in this chip deal. Now, NVIDIA,
Yes.
of course, has a lot of operations or it does a lot of business in Taiwan. It's like that's the chip making capital of the world.
yeah.
NVIDIA, of course, one of the biggest stocks. So with this
Mhm.
news,
I think
NVIDIA stock
it's the biggest, isn't it?
I mean, the stock market just blasted off over the past couple
Oh, yeah.
days during this visit. We're back
Yeah.
up over when Trump took office. But it is, I mean, the 2027 date is very interesting. It's almost like the United States enrolling the United Arab Emirates as a friend in funding Taiwan to prepare itself up until
Right.
up
The
until
Xi Jinping invasion.
exactly, up until the invasion. So it's sort of
Invasion.
gaining partners in the defense of Taiwan so that it doesn't just have to be the United States sort of unilaterally trying to protect it
Right.
or fund it.
Yep. So I think that's an important piece here to keep in mind and keep an eye on, all these other things. One more, and this is coming from Fox News. Trump signs agreement with Qatar on defense and Boeing purchases. So there you go. A little update from the whole Boeing thing here. President Donald Trump signed a series of agreements with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Doha, Qatar on Wednesday. The agreement involved a purchasing agreement by Qatar for Boeing aircraft, as well as letters of intent and, quote, joint cooperation between Qatar and the U.S. The Emir also signed an intent agreement to purchase MQ-9 drone aircraft. Look at that. The military-industrial complex is doing just fine, Basil. They just got some new customers,
I mean, why not? It's great. Got to get more drones out there. Got to get more drones.
So, in light of the gift from Qatar with the Airbus, or the luxurious Airbus that he gave, which was a Boeing, I don't know, maybe a precursor, maybe that was a way to negotiate this deal somehow. It says at the very end here, the Trump organization has also cinched a new deal to build a luxury golf resort in Qatar, partnering with Qatari DR, a real estate company backed by that country's sovereign wealth fund.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think this also signals Trump's plans to create a sovereign wealth fund in the U.S. And it's a very smart way to make these deals. Maybe he was just saying all that to make these deals because he's almost saying like, hey, what you guys are doing is the way the world order is headed. You guys are doing it right. Congratulations. Like, hey, let's cut some deals. We're going to change the U.S. to do similar types of things. And then now, within the context of the United States, people are freaking out about, I don't know, nationalism, populism versus the legacy world order and, the whole deal. So it's interesting how it's hard to see all of the components and nuances of everything going on. But if you're able to pull back and zoom out, you can get a sense for why Trump would say something here or, causes a ruckus over here so he can make a deal over there. It's all part of the way he operates. So
One second, Gon. Keep going. I got to be right back.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, we were right at the point of thanking some producers. So I will wait
Just
on that.
Talk about crypto or something. Just one second.
Just talk about
fill
crypto.
The time. You got.
Talk about crypto. I will never get this opportunity ever again. Maybe to talk about crypto. Let's see. Let me think of some crypto things to talk about. What's going on in crypto land? Let's see. Price is doing good. Bitcoin's doing great. Let's see. Hey, why don't we look at a CNN article about crypto? You guys want to do that? Okay, here we go. This is CNN. Trump's crypto conflicts keep piling up, not even trying to hide them. Okay, CNN. Trump's family crypto empire is expanding rapidly, and it's making earlier ethics debates over his hotel and casino business interests look downright quaint. Maybe that was the idea. Maybe that was the plan. There are only so many rooms a foreign diplomat can book to curry favor with the president, and that might total into thousands of dollars at most. And even President Donald Trump might have a limit on how many luxury Qatar jets he'd accept as a gift, okay? But in the opaque world of cryptocurrencies, where transactions are often anonymous and unbound by national borders. Oh no, transactions unbound by national borders. How could we? And transactions are anonymous. I mean, no. Well, yes and no. Anyway, it's CNN. There's virtually no cap on the amount of money a person or government can funnel to the president, his family, and the growing list of entities they control. That list of entities includes 2 meme coins, digital assets with no utility that serious crypto advocates tend to roll their eyes at. And an exchange called World Liberty Financial, which issues its own token. All right, so just a little hit piece on Trump and crypto, and they're all criminals.
You actually talked about crypto.
Well,
That's nice.
you open the door. I'm going to take the opportunity to do that.
I'm glad to give you the opportunity.
I was just going to try to get other stuff done, given our time today, but it's okay. Trump crypto talk is always good. Here's the deal.
Well,
Trump crypto has turned legalized crime, basically, is what he's done. He's made it okay to just launch 10,000 meme coins and, rug the whole population of money.
Fine with me. That's cool. I mean, legalized crime is just not crime, I think, is what that means.
Yeah.
Okay, let's thank some producers here.
Let's do it.
We're on the value for value model. You know what that means, and we're only alive because of you. And not when you produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. It's not just, helping out Gons or I. You are participating in a worldwide network of making this show available for everyone. So when we thank these producers, it's not just Gons and I doing so. It is all the rest of the producers thanking you too, because we couldn't do without you. So I'll start off by, let's see, we got a handful of people here that came in over $7.77, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. Starting out with Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots.
Sir Moore, thank you very much. He's
coming in with $7.77 on a 12-episode streak.
That is incredible. He's walking on the sun.
Might as well be walking on the sun.
Thank you, Sir Moore.
We got Sir Marty K out of the wrong timeline coming in for $7.77.
Thank you, Sir Marty K.
Mm-hmm. Did we have any art from him or anything?
Yeah, we did.
I saw an email from him. I don't think it's in connection to this producership, though.
Yeah, he did send a piece of art. It was a AI Jesus, and based off of my comments the other day, he just said, "So we're using AI art now, are we? Way to stand up against evil, guys. LOL. Well, two can play the same game. Wink emoji, cry emoji, pray emoji." And so he made a
Jesus carrying the
AI Jesus.
Is that the Danish flag? Is that what that is, or Denmark?
I think that's what it is. Yeah. The Denmark
All right.
flag. He's got some soldiers around him.
That's great. Jesus loves the Danes as well. So
yeah.
I mean, see, here's the thing. I'm going to be honest. There's a little bit of an interesting thing with Sir Marty K here, and I'm not going to lie, Sir Marty K. I know you need an outlet for some of these things. It's getting a little sleepy, getting a little tired. Going back and forth with this.
don't say
being okay. No, because I found his email for this producership. He says about the meme. It's a long one. You don't have to read all of it. Thank you. But let me give you a feel. Hey, fellas and my fellow Canarians, about the tariffs meme, I am fully aware.
Oh, that's the last meme. Yes, that's the last one.
Yes, that was the one he sent last time. But it was the thing that came in with his producership. I am fully aware that it was the Brits that taxed your tea back in 1773, but now Trump is taxing you, Americans, on everything you import now in this country. That was the meme was about. You Americans are being punished the most with all these tariffs. You have to understand that America does not export anything. That's not true. That the world can't live without. I'd say it would go the other way around as well. Or get other places better and cheaper. Yeah, I love the much better in China. And I'm not here to give you guys a hard time. Aren't you? Aren't you, though? Or to pick on you. But I am super worried about you. It might not seem that way, but I do love you, crazy stubborn Americans, but Trump is not the answer. Literally never said he was. He is isolating America from the rest of the world. I would beg to differ.
Arabian. I don't know. He's bromance with the Prince of Saudi Arabia. I would argue maybe that's not the case, but maybe not with Denmark.
I'll finish the note in a second, but I'll say this, Marty K. I know you're worried about us. Thank you very much. You sent some links to support your theory here. It's not your theory. This is just the standard European geopolitical take is Trump is ruining America, the whole thing. I totally get it. Now, when it comes to the Boston Tea Party, you got to remember, it's not always about money. The Boston Tea Party was not about a 3% tax. It was about taxation without representation. It was about respect and being able to determine our own destiny. That is what the Boston Tea Party was about. It was not about the money, although the money was involved. And that's how the tariffs are now. And I sent him a little email and he responded with another big long email, so I'm not going to write it. But the point being is that, the tariffs are the tariffs. And as you've seen, the tariffs so far have been a negotiation tactic, which has only helped or I won't even say help. I'm not even saying that I'm like some sort of economic expert that thinks it's the best thing in the world. But I will say it's helped Trump get what he wants, which is the tariffs, which is to close the gap in the trading deficits. But for Americans, it's not even really about the money. It's barely about the price of goods, because the price of goods, they're up and down depending on what the industry is. But the main things, gas, energy, food, all these prices are going down. So the money thing is kind of a wash. But for Americans, the deal is really about building something here again. You make the point that, we don't export a lot of products. It's not necessarily true, but we certainly could export more. And in order to export something, we have to make something. And thanks to Bill Clinton and the neoliberals, we don't build anything. We don't make anything. And so, and that has issues with labor. It has issues with the economy across the board. It has issues with meaning. Americans don't want necessarily to have this information knowledge-based economy where if you don't have a degree and you can't sell PDFs on the internet, or you're not a creator of some, if you're not a content creator, we don't want that. There's a lot of people in this country that want to get back to work actually making something, to have meaning, to spend their days, creating something, putting skills to work. That is what a lot of the support for, it's not even just about the tariffs. Again, the money is secondary, but it's about making something of and making something in this country again. That is what the Boston Tea Party was about as well, being able to have that self-determination for the country, representation as far as taxation in that case. And in this case, representation just in a solid actual economy, not a, woo-woo invisible stock market, Wall Street, financial products, creator economy. People are tired of that and it's not working. So I understand you're getting a lot of news over there in Europe. I understand you probably have a lot of influences, and I believe that you do care about us. I'm still confused as to how you think that after this many years that we are, locked into the mainstream news narrative about, whatever, trusting Trump as some sort of God man. That's, of course, is not where we are, where we even want to be. In fact, we're explicitly against that. Let me finish this thing here. It says he is isolating America from the rest of the world, spoken like a real Euro, and trying to tear your country apart and destroy it economically. And when you get a depression or worse, your country will be the perfect breeding ground for fascism. And it has already started. The things the cult of MAGA is saying makes them sound like the Nazis' brown shirts. Trump is not there to save America. He is there to destroy it and the Constitution. So the next regime has carte blanche to really let the hammer fall down upon you. Well, we do know that we are moving towards a technocratic dystopia. That's certainly where we are going. But I can tell, Sir Marty, by a lot of the words that you're using here, starting to sound a lot like MSNBC, buddy. That's all I got to say. But we do appreciate your support. We appreciate your art, and we are praying for you as well. And much like what happened with the China tariffs and the UK tariffs and the Saudi Arabia and the Israel situation, one of the things that the mainstream media makes their bread and butter on is immediate reaction to immediate news. And our, position, I guess, is the news that comes out on a day-to-day basis is not a statement of, reality or intent. You got to remember, things are always in process. We will see. We do know that we are headed towards a dystopian technocratic future. We believe it's a techno-populist future and not fascism. Any relation we have to fascism is just the same relation to fascism we've had since the middle of the 20th century. And again, you look at America, we've been straight up fascist forever. The partnership of corporations and the government is the primary actual definition of fascism. You can put authoritarianism in there as well. And I'm not sure if Europe wants to make too many close relations with that sort of thing as far as authoritarianism. So thank you for your concern. I appreciate it. I would say let's take a step back and let's see what happens. And if we're getting stuck on an idea, if we start kind of sounding a little bit too much like MSNBC, CNN, those types of things, I think it's a good opportunity to say, let's pray, let's sit, let's wait, let's focus on the Lord, and see what happens. I think what I'm getting a little bit from Marty is something similar to what we've gotten from some Canadians recently, which is we kind of just happen to be, Gons, the easiest access point to venting frustrations that
Which is
people,
fine.
non-Americans might have with America. We seem to be sort of this little gateway, this easy access place to release the steam. And because what we often find is the things that we are sort of accused of when they say, you Americans, you Americans, you Americans, is not actually about us. It's
Right.
about
It's just
how
on
they're
behalf of
feeling about
Americans
other
that-
Americans.
Right. Or what they see and hear and believe about Americans, much like how we see, hear, and believe things about, the Chinese
Canada.
people or something like that, or Canada, yeah, exactly.
or Europeans or something like that.
Right.
Right. So, anywho, there you go. Thank you very much, Marty. I have not read your next email. I'll take a look at that when I got some time. Thank you very much. Next up, we got CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Hey.
CageRattlerCoffee.com. Many have noticed in the chat, yes, I do have a sweet, sweet Cage Rattler Coffee shirt on. Thank you very much to CageRattlerCoffee.com for that. And here's the thing, folks, value for value. We get it. It's a process to open up your heart, especially in uncertain times like these, although day by day, things seem to be getting a little bit more certain. But CageRattlerCoffee.com, you gotta buy coffee anyways. I mean, come on. What are you gonna not drink coffee? You gotta do it. Are you still stuck on the Starbucks cycle, as I call it, the Starbucks cycle? Hey, if you want to support the show, you want to get coffee, you got to spend the coffee budget anyways. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com and get your coffee there. It is by Canarians. We do not own this, but it is part of the parallel economy and something I think we should be open to more of. If anybody out there is, trying to start a business, trying to, I don't know, just get something going, as far as value for value goes, it's not just about supporting the show, but it's also about supporting Canarians, producers, this kind of keeping business in the family for people who are on the level, the people who, we might care about personally if we've met them or fellowshipped with them because of the show, but also, participating in a sort of economic system that helps each other out. So that's what CageRattlerCoffee.com is. A portion of every sale goes to support the show. And I'm told over and over and over that CageRattlerCoffee.com is the best coffee they've ever tasted. Get your Nephilim Hunter Dark Roast, your Emu Wrangler Medium Roast. We got beans. We got beans from all over the world. Go check it out right now or else.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, next up we've got Andy J. Andy J comes in for $8.88.
Andy J, thank you.
Andy J says love and blessings. Andy J, thank you very much, Andy J.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we got the American Hobo coming in for $23.32 on a 10-episode streak.
American Hobo, thank you very much. Let's see, 10-episode streak.
Yeehaw. And we do have our, that concludes the list of people who have supported the show for $7.77 or more. We have people who come in under that amount, and mostly for the purpose of staying on their streaks. And so we will thank them for those streaks. Right now, starting with Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman on a 143 episode streak.
Miss Tinfoil Hatman, thank you.
We got Veronica D on a 482 episode streak.
Veronica D, thank you.
We got Sir Scott Knight of Truth on 535 episode
Sir
streak.
Scott Knight of Truth, thank you.
And Sir Casey the Shield Knight on a 539 episode streak.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Thank you to everybody who came in with their treasure to support the show. And remember, folks, the show doesn't exist without you. So take a second, thank the Lord for the show, the community, whatever we got going on here. And just stay sensitive, stay open, because oftentimes, at least for me, oftentimes I'll hear that still small voice here and there that I'll get the impulse to participate or give of my time or something to something that, was maybe a little bit outside of my normal thought process. And those are the opportunities to see what God has planned for you, has for the project, whatever it is. So please consider, it doesn't take every producer to produce every single show, but if every 30 days or so we take a little bit of stock and ask the Lord how we can participate, that's what keeps this show going. So you can find out more at canarycry.support. Now, there's a question from Suzette Ann on YouTube. How is a $30 tariff on Chinese goods helping us
30%.
Americans? Yeah, sorry, 30% tariff. So here's the idea. It's not just about getting cheap products from China. We have spent the last 2 or 3 decades with the opportunity, the privilege of buying cheap mass-produced goods from China. That means we send American dollars overseas. Those dollars are no longer in the country. Now, there's a deficit, which means we give China more dollars than they give us of anything, which means they have more money left over. Now, like Sir Marty pointed out, there's nothing that China wants to buy from us. We don't make knickknacks. We don't make electronics. We really don't make anything that China wants. So what do? They have all this money. They have all these dollars. Well, they take that money and buy American businesses, buy American land, buy American farms, buy American pork farms is a good example. Like something like 80% of American pork is either owned by China or goes over to China. So we as citizens get to buy a cheap knickknack while they get to buy our hard assets. We are trading cheap knickknacks for the land of our country that is being owned by not just Chinese individuals, but Chinese businesses, and ultimately the Chinese Communist Party has control over all those things. So we've essentially traded cheap knickknacks from Amazon and our phones, some not cheap things, but certainly we get them cheaper because they come from China. So we get cheap stuff and they get our whole country. They get our land, they get our businesses, they get our hard assets, the things that actually count as wealth in a country, the important things, the God-created things, the acreage, the farms, the everything. And there's a lot of Americans who are waking up to this and say, you know what? I get it. I don't necessarily need tons of super cheap junk from China if that means that the farmland, the properties, half of Hollywood, most of San Francisco, tons of California is owned by, essentially, when you get down to it, is owned and controlled by the CCP. And they're only able to do that because we crave the cheap prices of cheap stuff from China. And that's just a trade that a lot of Americans are done making. We see what's happening. China set up remember the weird, sketchy biolab that was running in California from a CCP guy? Remember the weird, sketchy farmland getting purchased by China all around American military bases? These are the things. This is the actual payment. This is what it costs for us to get cheap sprinklers and whatever the heck. I just bought a sprinkler, so that's the only thing that came to my mind. Everything we get cheap from China is resulting in China owning the actual land that we stand on, and the factories that we have, the industries that we have, everything. So there you go. That's what we get. Sure. Will things from China get a little bit more expensive? Yeah, probably. But as Trump himself said, do we need 30 dolls? Does a kid need 30 cheap dolls from China? Can they have 3 dolls? Can they have 4 dolls? I got some friends who have kids I don't know how your family has gone, but I got some friends who have kids. Uncle Basil comes around, and it's just too much. There's just too much stuff.
Yeah, you got to do the rotation. Once they grow out of it, they got to learn to let it go.
It's just crazy.
We exercise that.
And of course, Uncle Basil loves to, I don't bring a present. I'll bring 10 presents for a birthday.
Sure.
It's because of the cheap stuff. And so it's not just an economical problem, and believers should keep this in mind too. This is also a spiritual problem. It is the cheap stuff that we're able to get, the stuff we don't need, the stuff we don't want, stuff we need, that's different. I understand. But the habitual recreational shopping on Amazon, the near constant deluge of opportunities to spend a few bucks to get something that ultimately just goes in a drawer and we never see again, that is a spiritual problem. That is mammon at work. That is materialism at its peak. The amount of money that's just sitting in a drawer in the form of something cheap and plastic that I got from China, I personally will be happy to try to break that habit if it means that China stops buying the farmland around our military bases, stops owning our big cities. The cities that are empty, the high-rise buildings that are empty, is all owned by overseas corporations and governments. And so, yes, this is a bigger problem than just a cheap thing from Amazon. I get it. I don't want things to be more expensive too, but Americans have always paid more for the Made in America tag. And we respect the Made in America tag. We know what Made in America means, and it doesn't just mean that it might be better. It means that Americans got paid for it. That's the point. And so we are going through not just an economic shift, and Lord knows, who knows if it'll happen. I don't know. I was pretty freaked out there for a little while. We've had some good news recently, lots of good news actually, as far as the economics are concerned. But if we just stay focused on how cheap our junk is from China, that we are totally missing the point of what we really should be focusing on, which is a much deeper, I think much more important and long-standing benefit that can come perhaps from the tariffs. I don't claim to understand it, but I do believe that if anybody understands it more than me, it's probably Donald Trump. So there's a little rant for you, Suzette. I hope that helps answer the question.
Okay. That was a...
Sorry, seemed important.
7-minute rant after
I'll say this.
12-minute rant.
I think you need to stay positive about it, because I think if that's something that people are still not caught on to, I think that is a primary mission that we need to have with our people if they're going to trust us with their time and they're unsure about what this is all about. I think it's extremely important that we make sure that as many people understand that as possible. Otherwise, everything we say about anything won't make sense to them. That is like one of the core underlying rivers of meaning going on right now. And if certain things get a little bit more expensive, I probably will just go without it. I probably won't recreationally spend money if it means that more Americans can have jobs and more money stays in the country and more land is owned by Americans and not China. Speaking of China, go ahead. Sorry, wherever you want to take it.
Well, I'm very short on time now, so I'm going to try to blast through all of this.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
And speaking of bunkers.
Get to the bunker!
The debunker bunker.
While China was buying up all the land and the companies and real estate and everything, apparently some of our leaders were spending $21 trillion to build a secret underground doomsday bunker.
Lucky
them. Yeah, the Economic Times with the headline, U.S. spent $21 trillion to build secret underground doomsday bunkers for elites, claims former official. Now, this looks very official that an official or an ex-official is saying this. Independent.co.uk had this headline. U.S. has a $21 trillion underground network for only the wealthy to hide out in a, quote, near extinction event. Official says. Yay. So everything sounds very formal and legit. Like, hey, we've been talking about DUMBs, deep underground military bases, for a long time. It's been a conspiracy topic for decades, and now it's confirmed. It's out in the mainstream. Who's saying it? Well, it's Catherine Austin Fitts, who is a former Bush administration official, but she's been part of the conspiracy circuit for a while. So the first thing I wanted to point out is how the mainstream is actually reporting this as former official or former Bush administration official or something like that. It's not crazy fringe conspiracy theorist and, wild speculative whatever person from nowhere. And so Catherine Austin Fitts, I quoted in the book that I never released in 2014 about there was a whole phase in 2013, 2014 where the conspiracy space was talking about what's called the breakaway civilization. And it was this idea that after World War II, the secret government of the United States, maybe the military industrial complex or the people behind that, got all this money that they collected from basically World War II and the loot that Japan had gotten from China and Asia, took all that loot, took all that wealth, all that gold, diamond, whatever, and they sat on it for a while, and they used the funding from those treasures to build a breakaway civilization, meaning aircrafts and other, things like maybe a huge bunker, elite underground network of bunkers for when something goes wrong. Now, there's been rumors about this for a long time. But again, it's coming to the forefront. It's becoming mainstream news here. The article states a former Bush administration official has made startling claims alleging that the United States government has built an extensive underground network of bunkers worth $21 trillion. The bunkers, as the official said, were constructed from 1998 until 2015 and with unauthorized spending, according to a report. And again, this is Catherine Austin Fitts saying this, the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development from 1989 to 1990 under the former President George H.W. Bush, who made these claims during an interview on the Tucker Carlson podcast. And again, I just want to point out how they don't really spend a lot of time bashing Tucker Carlson. This is mainstream, legacy media.
Yeah.
They're not spending time complaining about Tucker Carlson. They're not spending time complaining about Catherine Austin Fitts. There are some lines, and depending on the article, they may throw in a line here and there like, oh, Catherine Austin Fitts has made some, ridiculous claims about blah, blah, blah. But it's not the headline. That's not the headline. The headline is actually the thing that she is saying.
That's a great point. Yeah, good catch.
According to the independent report, Fitts cited a 2017 report by Michigan State University economist Mark Skidmore, which probed into massive unauthorized financial adjustments within the Department of Defense and Housing and Urban Development. Skidmore's report mentioned that $21 trillion in unsupported adjustments was recorded between 1998 and 2015. This raised questions on the whereabouts of these funds. And that's been the premise for Catherine Austin Fitts. And it says later here, underground cities and secret bases. Fitts inferred that at least 170 underground facilities exist on the U.S. soil and near its coastlines. After conducting a 2-year probe and reviewing available documents, she suspects there are more facilities worldwide. Former federal officer described a sophisticated underground transportation network and hinted that a secret military energy system is likely powering these sites. What do you think, Basil? Do you think we're going to roll out this secret military energy system that's making this whole thing work?
Yeah,
I think
that's
maybe this is
interesting.
part of the Trump technocratic plan is to commercialize this technology for the masses. I think it's part of the golden age talk here. Fitts further suggested that some of the fast-flying unidentified aerial phenomena spotted in recent years could be connected to it. It's funny how she suggested this later in the conversation with Tucker Carlson, but she's been saying that for over a decade. And here, past bunkers versus alleged new network. And it talks a little bit about some of the known bunkers and stuff. But then it says no direct evidence, however, has been presented to substantiate her claims. Fitts, an investment banker by profession, has been famous for advancing controversial theories, such as those regarding COVID-19 vaccinations and international mind control conspiracies. Second to last sentence in the article before they do a kind of an FAQ outlining the Tucker Carlson article. Once again, pointing out how they're not, the mainstream is not focused on whether this is wrong or fake or this is crazy conspiracy theorist stuff. They're just simply reporting that, yeah, Catherine Austin Fitts said this. She's a former official. She said it on Tucker Carlson. holy cow, we have $21 trillion of missing funds, apparently. Where is it? And actually, I find it interesting, too, that this is all coming out in the mainstream now, because what Catherine Austrian Fitz was talking about even back then, 10 years ago, 11, 12, 13 years ago, was auditing the entire federal system. And that's what DOGE is, the Department of Government Efficiency. It's coming in there. It's cleaning things up. So it's a very interesting time. It's almost as if her roadmap was implemented by the likes of Elon Musk. So I find the whole thing very fascinating, that it's no longer conspiracy theory or even about that. It's not about bashing. It's just about the information. And why would they be okay with this information getting out there in a way that would even make your most hardened skeptic and most loyal legacy media, I don't know, I want to say slave, but maybe that's too harsh, to
Shill.
believe something. Yeah, shill, something like that, to believe that this could even be a possibility. 21 trillion, that is a massive amount. I mean, you're talking, 36 trillion national debt? So, 2/3 of our national debt went into building an underground bunker system for the elite. I mean, if this is true,
Yeah, I mean, it's basically all of the national debt.
All of the national debt.
It's basically, we have the debt because it's secretly
because of
been
this,
spent
because we've been
on
the
tunnels.
American taxpayers have been building the underground bunkers for when Jesus returns. I think it's really the whole thing.
No,
So-
it's crazy.
It is very wild, very wild.
I think there's an interesting connection there too with Elon's Boring Company.
Yes.
It was always like the weird little stepchild of his things, like, ooh, robots, ooh, electric cars, ooh, this, oh my gosh. And then he's like digging holes, and you're like, huh, okay, sure, yeah, dig your holes, Elon. And there's some recent big news about the Boring Company and their machine that's so much better now. I mean, considering that Elon is primarily a government contractor, Starlink, Tesla, everything is primarily government contracts. Why wouldn't the Boring Company also be primarily for digging secret underground military bases? Because it's so out of left field, and
He's
yet
been helping him the whole time.
Turns out the industry, it's a secret black budget industry that nobody else, no other entrepreneur at least is famous for. So, he swoops in, changes the game, and he can get in on that 21 trillion bucks. I mean, it sounds like a great idea.
Now, I had a whole article breaking down some shifts happening in transhumanism. I may tag this as part of our Canary Cry Radio episode that's going to come out on Friday. So I might do this, record this a little later and get to it, because, Basil, I want to wrap up real quick with some breaking news here. RFK Jr., Ben Cohen, Ben & Jerry's, you remember Ben & Jerry's Tasty Ice Cream? Digging himself into a deeper hole here. This is what just happened. Oh, wait, what's going on? How come there's no sound? Give me 1 second. Oh, unmute tab. This is RFK is kind of in a hearing here in Washington. It's on C-SPAN.
Whoa.
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room. Members of the audience are reminded.
There's some crazy audience disruption. RFK killed people with AIDS? Is that what that lady's yelling?
Dude, I cannot hear a single word. It's honestly, this is a very pathetic
protest disruption.
I can't hear a thing. I can't see any of their signs. I have no idea why they're doing this.
There's an old man
Members of
yelling.
the audience are reminded disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
Well, too bad. I didn't get to hear anything the Ben Cohen was saying.
Is that Ben Cohen? Was he that old guy in the middle?
I think that was the old guy, of Ben and Jerry's.
It's really funny because I'm watching all these young people in Antifa gear get tore away, and the whole time there's just this guy in a suit standing up in the middle, and he's kind of waving his arms. Yeah. And I'm looking at him thinking, what's up with that guy? Like, is he... what's his like? He looks like he belongs there. So I'm like, oh, this is just like a arm flailing, wavy, wacky, inflatable tube man in a suit in the middle of the thing. Turns out he was one of the protesters. All right, well, they changed the world, Guns.
Yeah, well, it got RFK Jr. to smile and laugh. So there you go. The world is all fine.
He's got a
Those
good
liberals,
attitude.
the liberal protests. Wow, what a change, huh? It used to be like people filled the streets. Now it's like a couple people and an old man screaming and yelling, getting removed from a hearing.
No, did you see the? Don't want to take more time, but did you see the Democrats storming the ICE facility and storming the Capitol building? They had their own insurrection.
They stormed the Capitol?
Yeah, I think it was a state capitol or something.
Insurrection.
Yeah, exactly. And it was. I'm not joking, you guys. It was like. There was more than one, and who knows? Maybe there's like some disability people, and you got to get your mobility machine in there. But there was maybe a half a dozen like scooters, like rascal scooters, just rolling through the Capitol. It's your turn, boomers. It's the boomers' turn to relive the '60s.
All right, artists, we're going to catch you on the next one. Make sure you guys get the credit on Monday. So
catch you on the flip side, artists. All right. Remember, we'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow with the Canary Cry Clubhouse on Thursday. We got a Canary Cry Radio. Great. A big one, a really fun one. Especially OG Canarians. Keep an eye out on Friday. Very fun interview that we just had with somebody you've been hearing about for years. So check that out on Friday. And other than that, thank you to all of our producers coming in with your time, your talent, or your treasure. We appreciate you very much. And please remember us for next episode. Big old shout out to the timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Jade Bouncerson doing the last episode. I believe she had a note.
Thank you, Jade Bouncerson. No, I don't know if that's that's something else. Although, shoot, maybe we need to maybe we should look at that.
Maybe if we can be praying for Jade Bouncerson.
Yeah, we probably should do that. Give me 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I think we should just keep moving because I gotta run out, and I don't.
Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Jam for also doing the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42 for the Discord channel. You can join both of those Telegram and Discord channels by going to canarycry.party. Who else? What do we got? Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for all your hard work. Clank, appreciate that. And other than that, share the show, folks. No.
Don't
share the show. This is a special exclusive show just for you. Nobody else is allowed to have it. I mean, if the Holy Spirit kind of says somebody's ready, you don't want to blow people's minds and you don't want to scare them. Especially if they have just made the transition from mainstream to alternative media. Are they ready to know that alternative media also doesn't have their best interests in mind? Are they ready to understand that the same principalities and powers that created the monstrosity that is mainstream media also has now infected alternative media? I don't know if they're ready for that, but if they are, don't tell them about the show. It's very special. We do call it rattling cages, though, and all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Happy Wednesday. See you guys on Friday for the Canary Cry Radio episode.
Yeah,
thank you.
Do it. Here's my Cage Rattler coffee shirt. Look at it.
Nice.
Whee!
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk, everybody. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.
We're all gonna die.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.